When we speak in high schools, we got a classroom full of kids, and Dale always starts this thing off by saying, by the way, Jim and I are twins, and Mom liked him best. Dale has really, really been important to me in terms of my staying balanced. You know, I have 3 poems and a story. You know, I talk fast, so they won't be as long as you think. Okay. I'm an FNP, a fucking new poet. I just got in poet country. These brothers have been here writing a while. Note how they keep their distance from me. Not making attachments with me. No eye contact. FNPs are often killed or wounded during their first 30 poems. They don't want to put their poetry at risk by being too close to me. If I survive, they'll look out for me. I understand. It's the code. The uniform code of poetic justice. Title of this is Scapular. Old Father Kelly with his steel blue eyes never smiled, stiffly formal, but he loved Catholic ritual, smelled of incense and altar wine. Gave each one of us altar boys a scapular, a leather strap holding 2 pictures, Jesus at Gethsemane, and on the other side, his most sacred heart, O Sacratissimum Cor Jesu. I wore it around my neck every day, middle school, high school, summer jobs, weekend parties, making out, hanging out, basic training down south, radio school at Biloxi, Camp Sama, Japan, Da Nang Air Base, the 1972nd, Quan Tri City with the 19th Advisory Team, Quezon, the Marine Combat Base. It kept me safe. It kept me alive. Just didn't help the NVA kid who was killed a couple of clicks from Hill 881. A guard brought me a scapular. It's obvious to me his scapular couldn't have come from old Father Kelly. Most people are unaware of, during the entire Vietnam War, there was a cathedral in Hanoi and there was a cardinal in Hanoi. Of course, that wasn't the kind of information that we were supposed to know. Okay. REMF, rear echelon motherfucker. I'm kind of one of those. But I wanted to, sort of express the feeling that a lot of us REMFs have too. And Puff the Magic Dragon was a C-47 gunship with 20mm cannons that was really capable of doing a lot of work at night in terms of controlling population movement towards our bigger bases. Okay. I wasn't a grunt. They were in the bush. I was on the hill. At Da Nang, I had a whole division of Marines to protect me. They only had each other and their vigilance. I slept with my back to an old French mortar wall and listened to my radio's hum. In the field, they slept feet out, listening for footsteps. Claymore said. At Quezon, I was by the runway, a regiment of Marines in the hills to protect me. And I always had my obsession with multiple layers of sandbags. In the field, they kept one eye open, quietly tolerating vermin, always knowing the NVAs could be near. I said, it doesn't really matter. They said, don't mean nothing. They had M16s, M60s, M79s, grenades, mortars, etc. My barely fired M16 sat next to my radios collecting red dust. I did have a multimeter, oh yeah. Measured amps, volts, and ohms. A measurement of resistance by us radio guys and meters. I had a set of screwdrivers, assorted pliers, and a mighty fine soldering iron. They bagged their dead brothers and brought their wounded buddies in to be sent to Delta Med. And they lined up and searched the bodies of dead NVAs they'd killed. They quietly and sadly celebrated the end of each day they all survived. I watched the sun go down, tracers on the perimeter, puff the Magic Dragon ship on special nights, and duck down by my radios whenever rockets rained in. The runway was a buku fine target. I wasn't a grunt. No PTSD for me. But I know we never should have been there. And I will be eternally, eternally fucking angry. In encouraged by Dale and Allison to write stories. This is my first prose. The great imprinting event at Quantree City, 1968, or Arnie's song at Mac V19. I remember learning the term imprinting in Mr. Hunt's science class. He was a great teacher, but his name was Dick. Not a good thing when you teach 12 and 13-year-olds. Anyhow, walking from Highway 1 east to the 19th Advisory Mac V compound, I was approached by an old woman who had a platter of eggs. They were breaking right in front of me, hatching right there by the Citadel. Actually, a mighty fine place to be born. So I bought one, 100p, I believe. I was the proud mother-father of a baby duckling and all the responsibilities that go with it. And I was loved. Quacked at for even thinking of not being right there. Quacked at when hungry. He'd only take food from me. Like the juice off the ham and lima beans, a concoction that will have to be described by somebody else's poem. And I named him Arnie. He followed me all over. I would say Arnie and he'd quack and come running. Everyone loved Arnie. My comm team, the Marine Perimeter Unit, the CBs, the Army advisors, everyone except Captain Arnholt, the CO. And yes, he wobbled. Now back to the imprinting. Best described by Miss Nancy Townsend of Ackworth, Georgia. Duckling sees human. Duckling is human. Mom is human. Duckling doesn't see other ducklings. Duckling is only human. Duckling loves and needs mom. Duckling grows to be a duck. Duck likes humans. Duck doesn't mate with ducks. Duck loves mom best. I was flattered. I had the best duck in northern Idaho. As Arnie matured, it was apparent that he was one very special duck. He slept on his own little poncho line at the foot of my bed and seldom pooped in our hooch, after a little initial discussion. He preferred several spots outside the concertina about 20 yards from the nearest bunker, and he was loved by all but one. Even the generator guy, that never bathed, was his buddy. This guy thought he was a DJ, and he had a full duffel of 45s and a little player and speakers. He and Arnie would spend hours by the Big Allison listening to C.C. Ryder and Gloria and the Young Rascals. Arnie loved 60s rock. Go figure, I was into Motown myself. Now I had to travel a bit, but Arnie found that his duty station, so I didn't really worry about leaving him behind. He respected that I had my job to do, and he had his. Watchdog. The Marines actually felt that if Arnie didn't swim out around the concertina and the Claymores in the late afternoon sun, then there might be the possibility of trouble that night. Life was good, out joyriding up to the Marine base north of the Takan River in the communication team Jeep, barbecues, volleyball games with jungle rules, again to be described by somebody else's poem. And then it happened. I had to go out and take down a site on Highway 9. I would be gone for about a month. No big deal before I had a child. Now it was bad. I came back 5 weeks later waiting to hear my glad to see ya quacks. But there was nothing but silence. My guys couldn't make contact with me. He was gone. They were supposed to have protected him. All there was left was his poncho line around my rack. And over by the compound headquarters, a few Army Special Forces guys and 5th Mech Army dudes had their muffled conversations with laughter about how to make orange sauce. Let me tell you something. I know that Arnie is looking over us right now, watching out for us vets. All except the Army vets. So if you're a Marine Corps, Navy, or Air Force, listen carefully and you can hear Arnie. Quack, quack. FTA. Quack, quack. FTA.
Thank you, brother.